I believe that he was sent to you. We have here a picture of the Creator putting his finger in the dirt that he created in the beginning. And I submit to you that since he created man out of the dust of the earth, Jesus was just showing this adulterous woman that he doesn't mind touching his own creation. In plain words, he didn't mind getting his hands dirty. And Jesus was doing that. The Creator wants to touch his creation in order to bring forgiveness and healing. The thing is, when someone's hurting, they don't need us to jump on them. We need to get them out of it. And he wants to touch you today. Aren't you glad for the grace of God and the mercy of God that came your way? Because, it'd be like some people just open hell, open them up. It'd be gone. But isn't it good that God, in his mercy, saw a tomorrow for you from your yesterdays that were messed up? Isn't it wonderful? Thank God. When I look at that, and I believe that he wants to touch us, and there is example after example in the Word of God. There was one, and I preached a long time ago when I was here about a man called Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth was interesting because in 2 Samuel, we read the story of this man who was part of a royal family. He was the son of a prince and the grandson of a king. And everything pointed that he should have been king. He was his name being Mephibosheth, and when you look at it, we pick this story up, we look at it, and you'll read it when you get a chance out of 1 Samuel 31. But for years, King Saul had pursued David, the young man who God had anointed to replace him as king. And Saul's obsession with hunting David down left Israel's enemy unchallenged. And when they realized that Saul was preoccupied with capturing and with killing David, they amassed their armies and rose up against Israel. And on Mount Gilead, King Saul and his son Jonathan fought to the death the Philistines. They routed Israel, overmatched, and they were an unequipped army. For a brief time, Saul's son had ruled part of Israel. But David's mighty warriors and Joab had first killed this general of the king. And after, then Joab's men had murdered this king. Fleeing before Joab's mighty men, all these loyal to Saul, who sought to escape, were slaughtered. All of them died by the sword, except for one child called Mephibosheth. He was the only one of all of them that did not. It means shameful one. And during the confusion and the panic of fleeing from Job's men, young Mephibosheth, it's a remarkable story. Matter of fact, when he was a baby, what happened was his nurse had him, and she dropped him. One of the dangers of dropping a baby, when she dropped him, she had news, and she panicked and dropped Mephibosheth, and in dropping him, his legs were broken. He would end up a cripple for the rest of his life. And Mephibosheth, when this all takes place, finds himself in a place called Lodabar. Lodabar means a place of no communication. Nobody's communicating with him. This would-be, should-be king is not king. He's a lonely man all by himself, knowing that he had a destiny, but his destiny would never be fulfilled. And when that happened, even though he was Jonathan's son, even though he was Saul's grandson, he was destined to grow up in obscurity. He was crippled physically, he was crippled emotionally, and he was crippled spiritually. A sentence of a living death was pronounced on Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth was the descendant of the anointed one of Israel. You remember when God anointed him through Saul, or through Samuel over Saul, that Saul would have prophesied with the king. Yet because of an act of disobedience, lost it all, now is dead. His father's dead. And now you look at this guy. He basically came to believe in his circumstances. He had come to believe that his present life had to be chained to past failures and tragedies. He was living in Lodabar. He was means without communication or dry or barren. Lodabar was a place of lack. It was a place of poverty. It was a place of dryness. It was a place of desolation. It was the wilderness, the desert, the empty fields. There was no sowing, no harvest. Nothing was happening there. And Lodabar was never intended to be the destination or the dwelling place, but it had become Mephibosheth's prison of emptiness and total isolation. It was not a life, but it was a living death. I don't know about you, but I've interviewed, I've talked to people, I've counseled people that really were alive, but they were dead. They're living dead. It's like when you read about the churches in Revelation, you'll simply find out, I call them coma Christians. They're alive, but you got to feed them. You got to nourish them. You got to help them. Because they're not willing to do anything for themselves. And here, he's in this position. The only way out of Lodabar from Mephibosheth required a prior promise he remembered, and he cherished a covenant that was going to be fulfilled. David sent the invitation through Ziba, and Ziba was a servant of David. And when David said, after the 7 sons of Saul were hung, to gratify the lust of the Gibeonites, now what happens? He says, is there any of the household of Saul left? And when he found out that Mephibosheth was still down in Lodabar, he said to Ziba's servant, go down and get him, fetch him, he said. Fetch is a funny word. Dog fetches something, but go and fetch him. And he journeys down to Lodabar, and he bangs on the door of Mephibosheth. And he said, yes. He said, my name is Ziba. I've come to get you. He said, I don't know any Ziba, but God is going to send means and ways to rescue you, rescue this church, and do things that are absolutely supernatural. Hallelujah. Yes. Hallelujah. They won't come the way you think they will come. Amen. It won't happen the way you think it's going to happen. It's going to happen because of a divine intervention and a divine connection. The hours, wee hours of the morning, the Lord started to tell me to start bringing me there in the summer. I believe we will have a camp meeting that will be second to nothing. I believe that something's going to happen on these properties and this ground that we won't be able to hold the people. I hope you come. The people are going to come. They're going to come from everywhere. You say, are you crazy? No, they're coming. Whether you like it or not, it's not the issue. I believe that God has deposited something in my heart that we're going to see some quantum leaps take place in the next number of months. Hallelujah. And it is going to be exciting. I just want to hold on to the ride because I want him to be the CEO of this thing. Hallelujah. I can't even conjure up some of the things he wants to do. Hallelujah. And I'm not just going to tell you that we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. There's no sense in dangling out a carrot in front of you and say, we'll do it. You see, hope is always futuristic, but faith is now. That's right. Hallelujah. Come on. Amen. We're going to believe by faith that God is about to do some supernatural thing. I need you to come into agreement with me that God is going to do some supernatural thing. When you drive in this property, say, I don't know what's going on, Father, but I welcome the Holy Ghost to do supernatural things. That the blind will see, the deaf will hear, and the lame will walk. Why? Because there's so many people that are hurting. They're hurting. They're hurting. They're hurting. And I look at Mephibosheth, and Ziba goes in, and he picks him up. Now what he did was quite remarkable.